I'm shocked, frankly. If I was there and I heard any rumor of this, I would be like, whoa, 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 whoa. What's new now that didn't exist for the last decade is the tools available today coming from AI, solvers, and this sort of thing. So I think in part, it's probably a good thing this happened on the biggest stage, because now it's a conversation we all have to have and go, okay, bro, is this the direction we're going in? Or are we going to do something to fix it?
These guys used computer software to help win the 2024 WSOP main event for $10 million. And in this video, we highlight the outrage that followed and hear from some of the biggest voices in poker like Daniel Negreanu, Alan Keating, and even the runner-up Jordan Griff. To my surprise, this story has ignited a fire that cannot be put out. Really all starting with the main villain, so to speak, who goes by Dnegs. That's this guy with the laptop. Upon the initial outrage, posting, quote, "The best part of having a piece win the main is definitely the money. But the second best part is how mad the biggest dipshits on Twitter get when they see someone using a laptop on the rail." As if this wasn't enough, he followed it up by getting into an entire argument with Daniel Negreanu and even going as far as to call him a moron.
Dominic called me a moron for this take, and that's fine. It's like, you don't understand the difference. Like, I do.
Daniel says, quote, "You know it is prohibited to use these tools online, correct? You know this. So why would you think it would be totally kosher to use them live? Did you not think it would be worthwhile to ensure you were not doing anything nefarious by asking the floor for approval? Announcements were made all summer long. Deep down, you knew what you did was completely outside the spirit of the game, gray and shady at best, even if the written rules weren't explicitly clear. I see you are committed to dying on this hill, but the backlash for this decision is warranted and consistent among pretty much everyone. What you did was wrong." To which Dom would reply, quote, "Daniel, I have made a commitment to a friend and his family that I'd do whatever I can to help him win within the official rules. I was fully aware that a lot of people wouldn't like me afterwards." Daniel saying, quote, "Lots of ways to help a friend without doing something that is both wrong and a stain on our game."
Essentially, there are varying degrees of RTA, right? There's the massive extreme version where you're literally playing and you have a solve in real time telling you what to do. Like, that's the most egregious version. The softer version is before the cards are dealt, you're looking at a chart, so you're prepared to do that, right? You know what you're going to do. Now, they're both RTA. They're going to help you in real time. One is very egregious, one is minimal. As far as I'm concerned, the line should be drawn at, like, first of all, any use of solvers or AI in the tournament area should not be allowed by the player or, getting relayed by anybody else. Obviously, you can't reference. The one that's interesting to me is, like, what if a guy just has a piece of paper with notes on it? Like, can he or can he not before the hand look at that? Because listen, when I play poker, I have a notebook in my phone of different players' tendencies and tells and things like that. And like, I'll say, oh, okay, I'm playing with this guy today, and I'm gonna look at that. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that should be fine.
In this Twitter exchange, Dominic was also made a fool as he called out the 2022 main event winner Espen Jorsted. He said he had first-hand knowledge of what info Espen was fed at the final table, almost as if this was some secret kind of thing. Espen quickly chimes in and is like, "Yo, what are you talking about?" Dom's like, "Oh, never mind. It's not a big deal." And Daniel's like, "Yeah, it is. You just accused him of using RTA," to which led to Dom calling Daniel a moron and saying he doesn't even know what RTA is.
With Dominic Nietzsche being a guy who's in this industry, right? Who like has a, product of his own. I think it's on him, if they're going to do anything like this, to like literally go to the floor and go, "Hey, just want you guys to know in between, we're going to be doing this. Is this okay?" Right? To their credit, they did it out in the open. They were not hiding it. So partly you have to assume that they didn't think what they were doing is wrong. But I think in a case like this is where you have to really sort of, get clarity, and saying like, "Well, I didn't hear the announcements." That's not like, that doesn't absolve you, right? Not knowing the law doesn't absolve you from having to follow it.
Yeah, so all in all, not a good look for Dom here, who continues to pile on and take the same harsh stance of it being a non-issue. A pretty night and day comparison to the runner-up's more humbled attitude towards this whole thing.
I don't know how things would have been different if they weren't using the solver, but it's even just sad that this is what the story out of the main event is, right? It should be, positive stuff. It should be, great stories about, people making these deep runs and coming into money and, trying to be investors for the game. And here we are talking about, someone who's, trying to take every little edge they can and use that to their advantage.
From this incident, there was also lots of talk about legalities. If lots of people think this man was essentially cheated out of first place money, should he sue his opponent? Or maybe not the opponent, but the venue or WSOP? Here is Griff's answer, and then we will get into Negreanu and Keating.
So once you have had that time, if there was a case, would you consider filing a suit?
I would say it's always a possibility, but I'm not sure at this time.
The WSOP rules it's unclear. It's not in the written rules, really. There's a slight thing that I think is really weak. People are bringing up. But we have the intercom announcement, which is certainly something. But Nevada gaming rules, I would say it's pretty clearly against. And if you're going to go the legal action route, that is, I think, what really matters. So I don't know. Would you guys pursue legal action here? I guess like in your shoes, neither one of you are going to do that with your brands or if you're well known, but should the people at the table, should someone like Griff, where they feel like, they did their best and they didn't realize this guy's running Sims on the rail, should they pursue legal action if they feel like their opponent was using something unfair to have an advantage against them?
I think from a financial perspective, it's minus EV overall. You're going to have to spend a bunch of money on lawyers. It's going to be very difficult to prove how much was gained from this process. And most juries and most courtrooms are not going to have any understanding of this. So the odds of you actually getting anything of substance past your legal fees is, unlikely. So I wouldn't. I guess nobody knew. Then nobody knew at the table. Then the floor didn't know. Nobody knew. It's just sort of there's not much you can do there.
Yeah, but the law is clear in the Nevada gaming that this is against. There's no ambiguity. This is not allowed. So, but a court and a jury or a judge or whoever it might be, they're not going to be able to really discern that, right? And I'm sure there are lawyers that would take it on for win only. Right.
And then how far does it extend? I played the tournament, you played the tournament. Can we sue? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Obviously.
I don't know. I feel like suing is embarrassing. It's just
I agree.
As a man, whatever, figure yourself out outside of courts. When people are using courts to take money from other people, I just think it's unbecoming. Yeah.
All right. Well, while that's true, sometimes it is necessary. And if you did realize afterwards your opponent was using software to beat you with this much money at stake, and they're over there running calcs to beat you in this thing for $4 million, I don't think it's crazy unrealistic to be oh, my opponent used something they shouldn't have to win $4 million off of me. I'm going to try and pursue that. I'm not trying to be the nit here, guys, but at some point, right, there's some damage threshold where it's not it's unreasonable to pursue. Yeah, I'm not even saying you should. I'm just saying it's not right. It's not outside the realm of
sure. And then the slippery slope is, who do you file it against? Are you filing against the player itself, or are you going to file it against the operator, or both? Right? For the operator, supposedly, quote unquote, allowed it to happen, or it happened under their watch, and nothing was done from that perspective, or the players themselves. I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't go that way. In any way, I don't think it will, because what's done is done, I think, and we just have to use it as an opportunity to be really clear on this.
The fun and fan favorite Alan Keating also got into it with Dom. Quote, I can't comment on whatever is on that laptop, but I will share that I was with a dozen friends last night, nice friend flex, watching the final table playing on the background, and not a single one of them thought whatever is on that laptop was tasteful or within the spirit of the game. I'm glad y'all won money for yourselves, but the experience we had watching reinforced the idea that tournament poker isn't for us. With this, Keating faced huge aggression from Dom, saying, quote, what's funny is that you acting like an absolute clown on stream to get whale action in private games isn't exactly anyone's definition of, quote, spirit of the game, quote, either. I prefer competing over sucking up to rich guys. And Keating responding with, quote, you know nothing of what you speak, quote, ending things almost as if he's a character out of Game of Thrones.
You know nothing.
Keating would go on to give his general opinion on what he saw.
We saw the laptop on the side of the table. People were looking at each other isn't that cheating? Is someone gonna jump in? What's going on here? Is this the direction? If I made the final table, would I be going against that stuff? Or what dream is alive for tournament players now? It felt like, okay, if you don't have a big stack, these situations aren't very complex, and if it's just all in or fold or something like that, then it looked like the computers playing poker for them. I think the course of action is to push to these tournaments and say, we need a rule change here. These things need to be banned, and no ifs, ands, or buts. Everyone needs to get on board with this.
From here, the conversation gets more into the WSOP rules and what actually needs to be changed.
Yeah, I would say though that like, so here's the thing, rather than quote unquote rule change, more aggressive enforcement of rules that already exist. Even Nevada Gaming have rules against this sort of thing. You know, they're specifically more geared towards like casino games. Like you can't use any sort of aid in blackjack or craps, but it does extend to poker too. And there is wording and there is language in there that says you cannot use anything like this. You know, the floor staff, you know, before the tournaments flat out said, you know, you can't be using this stuff. There's some, again, I think the thing to focus on now that we have to do going forward, to your point, Alan, is like make these rules as clear as possible. I think something to the effect of no use of solvers at any point in the tournament area, which is defined by the entire room. And any use of this could lead to a disqualification. And then when you put in like use of solver, that includes, you know, getting text messages or information from somebody using one and relaying that to you, right? Because you're going to have guys that are saying loopholes. Well, Jonathan didn't do any solve. Jonathan wasn't doing anything. He was just looking at what was prepared for him.
Daniel is also strong to point out here what the use of the solver means, and it actually leaves Alan Keating stunned.
Right. And on that point too, I think it's important for people to differentiate, like whether if he's looking at hands that were already played and they're, who cares? Like that's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. Getting the solve for a hand that was played before doesn't necessarily help you for the ones going forward. The issue is the real-time assistant, if you will, is when the next hand's about to be dealt and you've just been spoon-fed ranges that came from a computer that tell you, and they're basically what they're going to do is poker, Hold'em has 4 streets, right? So you're essentially eliminating one in terms of potentially making any mistakes at all. You're literally basically saying, if I know what I'm doing here, I will never make a mistake pre-flop. You'll have to get me flop, turn, and river.
Wow.
And right. And then, and like, so
wow.
From that perspective, like, there's no question. I don't think anyone in the community looks at this and thinks, yeah, this should be fine. Most importantly, too, when you look at online poker, right? This is why I'm like, how did you not? It's prohibited. You cannot use these tools legally online. You're not supposed to, you're not allowed. So why would they think or assume that you could do this in a live arena? I guess probably, frankly, because the rules were not written out as clearly as they should be. And no one said anything. Like the reason that guy got caught before the World Series or anyone does is people say, hey, you know, James Chen says, look, this guy's using it, right? If anyone at that final table would have said, floor, these guys are doing stuff on their computer, right? The floor would come over. It's impossible to expect the floor to like look at everybody's laptop and, you know, or phone and see what they're doing. So like part of the enforcement has to come from players sort of ratting out other players and then having rules that are so severe and so significant that minimal edge Doug talked about, maybe 100K, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to take that risk and potentially get DQ'd.
Keating continued by discussing potential penalties for those caught using solvers.
Alan, you want to kick it first here?
Go ahead, Alan.
Death. No.
Death. Okay. Nice.
But on a more serious note, he suggests a 2-round penalty where a player must sit out 2 orbits, to which at first is laughed at, but then ironically considered.
I mean, a 2-round penalty is kind of a slap on the wrist. What do you lose? Like 3 big blinds? You know, I think it's
a big one. It's big. I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot of equity.
Good. It should be a lot.
It becomes a slippery slope. So like, I believe, you know, the best approach personally is just to have a harsh rule on none of this stuff being open at any point in a tournament area. And if you're caught as a spectator, you're removed from the place. And if you're caught as a player, you face penalty of, you know, what Alan said, which is 2 rounds or potentially, you know, a full DQ.
I like that we're going to go with Alan's take on what the tournament penalties should be. All right, we came together.
I am not.
And Alan has spoken. It will be a 2-orbit penalty moving forward.
I kind of like it, actually, because it is brutal. Like,
it should be brutal.
I said that originally. If you have 13 bigs and you have to go through 2 lives, now you have 8. That's like pretty bad. So, you know, if you want to look at your, you know, your push or fold charts like under the gun, realize that you might just have to go through 2 sets of lines.
On a lighter note, Keating further considers ways to make tournaments more fun, which get pretty crazy.
I have 4 suggestions. Can we go through them and I hear you guys' response? All right. You know, this really bothers me. You see a guy at the table and he's completely concealed, right? Whether it be a mask, the glasses, the hat, the hood. the scarf around the outside. Can we make rules against covering yourself up?
You kind of can. You kind of can, but it's going to get tough on enforcement on some of those. Like the mask thing, you're not getting rid of people's masks. It's going to be too.
Yeah.
It's going to be too hard.
Maybe a rule could be you can do one or two of, right? So if you want to wear a mask, you can't wear sunglasses, right? If you want to wear a mask and sunglasses, you can't wear a scarf or like a hoodie. So allow people maybe one piece of concealment in one of the areas, but not all. Because like you're right, you see like Christoph Vogel saying he has this hoodie, covers this, glasses, everything. You can't see anything, right? And it's a bad look for TV, of course. So maybe the rule is, okay, you can't cover your neck, you can't cover your eyes, and you can't cover your, you can't wear a hoodie. But you can't be a covering that covers everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, in like my friend group or something like that, if someone came and sat down and put sunglasses on, we'd all make fun of him. Like until he took them off, we'd be like, "No, really, you can't wear sunglasses. This is ridiculous. If you're going to take it that serious, like, go play over there."
Personally, I would ban sunglasses completely.
Do you think sunglasses? Do you think sunglasses help pros or Rex more?
The one thing it does for sure is it disconnects people from the game. Now it's a ghost sitting next to me.
I really agree with what Doug is about to say here. I think a lot of amateur players feel more comfortable playing with sunglasses.
Usually when I see someone wearing sunglasses in a tournament, it's usually someone that this feels like this is their big shot and they're kind of nervous and they're worried they're going to have tells, and they're usually more recreational based, and they're usually people that are uncomfortable. And I think for any one of us three here, if we play a big pot in the main event, we're going to be fine. But for someone where like this is their big shot, they never play a tournament this big, and they really want to just like not give stuff away, and they're scared, and like their sunglasses, like, do you really want to be like, sorry, bud? I don't know.
Yes. As long as it's fair for everyone, right?
You do.
Like,
Okay.
I would never say you as a rec can't wear them, but other people are wearing them. It's just part of the game. Like, listen, online poker, you don't have to deal with any of this physical live stuff. Live poker, you do, right? Just the way. That's just the game. Yeah.
I can get on board with that. I just think it is important to explore the other side. And I do think if we look, generally speaking, it's more Rex than pros that wear sunglasses, right? All right. What's number two on your list, Alan?
Okay. So the concealment, face, scarf, all that stuff. I wanted to talk about sunglasses, and we just moved right into that. So that was number two. I'd like to see those gone. And this one, I might lose both of you on this. If I don't lose you on the fourth one, I'll be shocked. But no headphones.
Oh, I would totally agree with that. I'm in for no headphones. I think
I'd be fine with it. Yeah.
I really do think. So first off, people will just not hear stuff, and it creates problems. I've seen that a bunch. I'm sure Daniel's seen it. I mean, you might even have seen this before. Like people,
again, it's also, you can make the same argument with the sunglasses as earphones can be considered a cheating device potentially too. Someone's speaking into your ear and telling you, like, I don't know, like, obviously, Alan, I feel like you probably deal more with this, dealing in private games and stuff like that. Like, it's a real concern. Like, you have to be careful of, anything like this. So I think some people will be annoyed by it, and push back. They just like to listen to music. They're not doing anything bad. And I think they'll just get over it. Like, we used to play poker. We used to play poker without
it. Was fun before the headphones.
When I started playing poker, people didn't even use Sony Walkmans. Like, nobody had headphones, and it was fine.
Yeah.
Personally, I agree with the headphones take. I pretty much never ever wear them unless I want to listen to something very specific from a video on the phone. Related, I once said in a tweet, quote, if you play live poker regularly and find yourself wanting to use your phone, you are probably in a bad game and should leave. This upsets some people. But yeah, I think it's true. You're practically never bored in a good game. Poker is not supposed to be boring.
And this is where I'm going to lose you guys.
Phones.
As I was like getting that day too, I was getting a little restless. I started doing blind bets under the gun, just a little bit of a straddle. And so I suppose my question to you is, can we allow straddles in the tournament, especially the main event?
Yeah.
I'd have to think about that because I've never really considered it.
Straddles in tournaments, let's go. It's happening. With Alan Keating taking charge, we are in good hands. To get back on topic and to close things out, Daniel talks about not railing the WSOP main event winner.
I want to be careful that we don't like rail this kid over the coals, Jonathan, because like from all intents and purposes, he seems like a nice guy. I genuinely don't think he was. I think he's caught up in the moment. He's just doing what he's doing. His coaches are giving him stuff. Like I don't think he was consciously thinking about the optics or anything like that. Right. And again, most importantly, the fact that they did it out in the open like that lends me to believe that like he didn't think anything he was doing was wrong. He just was, was trying his best to win $10 million. So I don't fault him really in that regard. I wish, like, if he looks back, I would hope that he would see like how bad it looks, and take a different approach than Dominic.
If you guys made it this far, much love, and I'm happy to announce I've partnered with a brand new online poker site called Clubs Poker. They have some cool features like mixed games, which I haven't learned even one, bomb pots, and the ability to straddle. It's completely legal and free to play in the US and all done with your usual payment methods and no shady app transactions. Play for free with gold coins and redeem them for sweep coins in the form of cash prizes. I've put a link in the description and have a pinned comment if you want to sign up. I'll soon have some friendly competitions and be playing with subscribers, so look out for more.